Alright, so in today's video, I'm going to show you guys what I believe to be possibly the worst bodybuilding call of all time. And unfortunately, this happened to my client Paul, who, believe it or not, is natural. To all of his doubters, I think he is 36 years old. He's been training for 20 years. So this is what can happen when you combine 2 decades of training and being like the 1% of the genetic elite. Like, this is what you can get. So now for the purpose of this video, which is to show you what I think is the most insane bodybuilding judging I have ever seen. I'm not going to put the specific show on blast because I've actually talked to the show promoter and he agrees with me. He thinks that this should not have happened, but unfortunately this outcome does happen fairly frequently at amateur shows, where coaches and the audience sometimes are just like left puzzled as to how the judges came to their decision, just typically not to this extent. If you haven't been to a bodybuilding show before, how they determine the winner of each division is first they will divide, so in this case it's going to be classic physique. They're going to divide the classic physique guys into 3 different classes. Class A is going to be the shortest, Class B is going to be like the middle group, and then Class C is going to be the tallest. Then they take the winners from all 3 classes and they put them together as like a head-to-head to determine the overall winner. So Paul is 6'3", so he is in Class C. And obviously Paul looks insane, and no disrespect to any of the other competitors, but what I like to call, when a grown-ass man like Paul, who has been training for decades, shows up to an amateur show, he is going to absolutely mog the shit out of basically everyone. So the picture I've got right now is Paul with his Class C group, which he won fairly easily. And then now I'm going to put him up against the overall winners of Classes A and B, and this is where things start to take a turn. Okay, so how I'm going to do this is I'm going to walk you guys through just 3 poses from the front to the side and the back. And we're going to start off with the front pose, looking at the front double bicep. And again, these are the winners of Class A, Class B, and Class C. Each of them respectable winners with overall good shape and conditioning, but according to the judges, the guy in the middle, which his name is Blake, and I'm cool with him, we're cool with each other, we talked to him backstage, I messaged him online, we're cool with this video. Granted, this is a little bit late, this happened last summer, and this is now February, almost the end of February, so tensions are cooler for me. It doesn't hurt as bad anymore. The sting has gone away a little bit. So when we're gonna look at these 3 guys, they're really like, there is not a single muscle group that Paul loses in. Like, when it comes to size, like, Paul is massive. But just because you are the biggest guy in classic physique does not mean you are going to be the best competitor. Judges are supposed to be looking for a balance of size, just like overall muscle mass, but also symmetry and like how the physique flows top to bottom, front to back, and how it's proportioned out. And then the third thing is conditioning. What we're going to look at right now is just like the sheer mass that Paul has. Like, he is huge. Not really missing a single muscle group. Granted, his lats could probably be a little bit wider, but there usually isn't like anybody that, especially for natural guys, where the lats couldn't be a little bit wider. But comparatively speaking, like, his lats are debatably the widest ones. Maybe not even debatably. They are like the biggest ones up there. And then when we're looking to compare the V-tapers between all 3 of them, which is just like the shape of shoulders, back, coming down to the hips, like, that is Paul's pose. And his advantage just be having a tiny waist, being that big. That is one of his strong suits. And then a rather simple trick I want you guys to use when we're going to compare these physiques up here, but also you can use this to compare progress photos of yourself, is just a good old-fashioned eye test. When a picture or a comparison is put up right in front of you, just the eye test is wherever your eyes immediately go, usually that's telling you something. So if you're watching a show or you're looking at pictures, you kind of just want to do the eye test, see where your eye leads, and that usually will give you an idea of who is going to win. And in this case, for most of these photos, I'm pretty sure for 99% of you, Paul is going to win the eye test almost every single time. Okay, we're going to move on to the side chest pose. And again, I think with the eye test, like, even though Paul is not even like at the right angle and not turned at the camera, your eyes are just drawn to him just because of how massive he is. Leg is huge, Arm is huge, chest is huge, delts are huge, everything is huge. And when you are the biggest guy, but you also have good balance of flowing from top to bottom, front to back, and have the best conditioning, or just like best separation and muscle definition, which I'm going to get into next, there is really no excuse, in my opinion, for how this decision was made. And now if we take a look at their back double bicep, and we're going to compare these two guys, I will give it to Blake. His upper body, he's definitely holding his own, which it is hard to do standing next to Paul just because of how overwhelmingly huge he is. But when it comes to the legs, like, eye test, picture stands for itself. Game over. Paul is, when it comes to conditioning, he is the only one that, in my opinion, has like what you would want for conditioning, where you have the muscle separation in all of these muscles, where it's like the glutes, hamstring, and adductors. He's the only one out of these three that has the muscle separation in literally every single muscle group. So this is only 3 of the 9 total poses required that all these guys had to run through when they were doing their posing. So I'm going to link the video to Paul's show day if you want to see more footage. And for those of you that have never been to a bodybuilding show in person before, the pictures that I'm going to throw up on here, they do not do justice. And pictures for any bodybuilding show do not do it justice. Videos can tell you more of a story, but actually being there in person is the only way to get a truly accurate assessment of how different physiques are comparing. The difference, especially when it comes to conditioning and how lean the competitors are, that is huge. The pictures, they don't capture how the muscles are moving, how the muscles are flickering underneath the lights, and just like the detail that they're going to have in these poses. So that's what makes this like more insane, is that even in these pictures where Paul was, in my opinion, just like levels above everybody else, and it was obvious, it just makes it more insane that the pictures are showing this. So in person, it was even crazier. Okay, so how does Paul lose when every time he walks on the stage, he's getting the biggest cheers, the biggest oohs and ahs, and then once the show was over, it was like when we were trying to leave the building, every 10 seconds, some stranger was coming up to him and just like giving him a pat on the back and apologizing because they thought that he got robbed. And even like the show promoter is disagreeing with this outcome. Like, what is going on? And in my opinion, it's amateur judging is my best guess. When looking at the classic physique criteria for the OCB, they're looking for size, symmetry, and definition. It says that symmetry and proportion, they take precedence over size. But in Paul's case, I think the judges took the criteria too literally and penalized him for having more muscle mass than the other guys. Paul's overall mass and size, it should have been compounded on top of his symmetry and conditioning, not the other way around. And in addition to Paul being the biggest, he was the leanest by far, like I was saying. When you were watching that in person, like out of anybody in the entire show, he was what you want to be when it comes to conditioning for a bodybuilding show. But you don't want to be too shredded, because when it comes to, so there's classic physique, and then there is just the men's bodybuilding. There are different criterias, and for men's bodybuilding, that is the group where we want the guys like absolutely peeled, as shredded as possible. Whereas the classic guys, they don't want them as lean. They still want them lean, but they don't want them as peeled as a men's bodybuilding guy would be. And in the case of Paul, like this was not peeled. Like granted, he is shredded and every muscle is showing, but I'll probably make a video about this in the future for like his prep, the amount of food he was eating and how we were peaking him. Like this was not peeled. He was eating a shit ton. But in this case, because Paul's conditioning was so far ahead of literally everyone else in this category, he stands out so much that I think, again, the judges took the criteria too literally and thought he was too lean because of how much he stood out against everybody else. But the issue with him being too big or too shredded for classic physique is that I'm going to pull up a picture of what is currently the best classic physique competitor in the OCB. His name is, I believe it's pronounced Damian Dawson, who won the Yorton Cup, which is like the biggest and most prestigious show in all of the OCB bodybuilding. If you look at these pictures of him, he is also huge and he is also shredded. And if we're being honest, in this picture of the front double bicep, him and Paul look very similar. So Paul obviously like top tier pro level physique, and he should be on the same stage as Damian, making his case for placing well at the Yorton Cup. But because he didn't win the original show, he didn't get his pro card, and now he can't compete in that show in the Yorton Cup. So when this all went down, like, I was so defeated. Granted, there's been a running joke. For people that have been following the channel, you know that the running joke right now is that I'm a second place coach. So when I started working with Paul, I was like, yes, like this curse is broken. There is no way that I'm going to bring Paul to an amateur bodybuilding show and we're going to lose. Well, that didn't happen. So running joke continues. I've had a couple people compete after this and also get second place. And I've had there are a couple other decisions that I didn't agree with. They weren't as obviously bad as this one, but yes, the second place coach thing is still going on, and we're like 2 years into this fiasco. So yeah, so where we're at right now, like obviously he could have done another OCB show after this, but like I was saying, like, God damn it, the feeling of watching him lose, it almost felt disrespectful to me and everyone in the crowd that he didn't win, because like he was by far the best competitor on stage that day. So I can't even imagine how bad Paul felt. Well, I mean, I talked to him and he obviously felt really shitty. So instead of doing the LCB, we went right back to work. We've been working, been doing off-season stuff. Now we're gonna make a push for competing in the WNBF, which is another natural bodybuilding federation. Because I've already had some issues at other OCB shows with the judging, like I said, where a lot of the times the decisions don't make sense. And I have talked to other coaches, and they also agree that this happens often. So I don't know why my trust for them is gone. So I'm not going to give them another shot for a while. So we're going to use the WNBF, see if we can make WNBF Worlds. Maybe in the future, we'll give it another go with the OCB. Maybe give them a special invite. I don't know if the OCB does that. Maybe if they watch this video and they'll be like, oh shit, like, we kind of messed this up. Maybe they give him a special invite to the Yorton Cup. That's a lot of pressure for him to show up and hopefully do well, but I mean, I don't know. I think he would do great. Personally, I think he would do great. So yeah, I'll link some videos about Paul's show day. I'll eventually make a video about his prep. You can follow along his training playlist for when we were preparing for that show and the training vlogs we did together. I'll put some links down below for coaching if any of you are interested in competing or you just want to get jacked. Links will be down below. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.